Hey everyone, welcome to Filmmaking One. I will be your professor this semester. I am Matthew Foss and I'm really excited. This is my third semester at TCC and there have been some amazing students and I am excited to get to know each and every one of you and see what you bring to this world of filmmaking. So just a quick update. For about the last 10 years or so, I have been battling a condition called chronic Lyme disease, and it came with some other what are called co-infections. You might be familiar with one called alpha gal. I have two others. One is a form of malaria, and another is a form of Bartonella, which you might know as cat scratch fever. So I always tell my students be very careful of ticks. Not to say don't go out in the woods, but take precautions. And if you get bit, always go to a doctor, even if you don't get a rash. So, um, because of that, I am going to actually be missing the first day of class due to needing to go out of town for some treatment. Um, this hasn't led to many other interruptions in class in the future, but occasionally I will have to post a lecture that you will be watching on your own. But again, it won't be all the time. We will be predominantly meeting in class as usual, and I hate that the timing of this is not being there for the first class, but there is still a lot we can do. And let's just go ahead and start with the basics, which is how to get a hold of me and things like that. So here's a little bit about me and my background. There, of course, is my email. My office hours are by appointment only. I am an adjunct at TCC, which means I'm only teaching this course and one other. I'm also teaching at OSU Tulsa and for a university in Arkansas called Southern Arkansas University. Um, Okay, so if I ever need to add addendums to the syllabus that we're about to go over, this is where I will put them. Just things that maybe didn't go in the syllabus or need a little bit further clarification. Um, I will always make you aware if there are any changes, but it doesn't hurt to look that over because it just kind of reiterates some of what's already there in the syllabus. So here's a university attachment as well as the academic calendar. All right, let's take a look at the syllabus. I would like for you all to just kind of go over it again on your own just to make sure you're aware of everything. A lot of it is sort of boilerplate, but it's worth a look since you're paying for the class. So we will meet on Wednesdays at 6. Classroom and where to go. Again, my email. If you need to get a hold of the department for some reason, if you've been trying to email me, let's say, and you need to leave a message, something like that. I mean, I wouldn't make this your go-to for anything other than, like emergencies or something like that, but it's there if you need it. There's the description for the class. There's no prerequisites for this one. Let's see. Grade breakdowns you can kind of look at. We'll have essentially 3 films that you're going to do: a final production, an experimental or music video. Most students do experimental. And then a hero goal obstacle video. You'll have 2 edits, and then somewhere between 10 to 20 smaller assignments. It's important that you're there at all the classes. If something does come up, like obviously I understand, just get some form of documentation if you can. If you've just got a flu bug and you don't need to go to the hospital, but you can't make it, please notify me before class. I'll post the lectures online. It's not necessarily falling under the category of a school excused absence. So if it starts to become a thing, then you will need to get a doctor's note. Like if you start missing 4 or 5, just telling me he's got a flu. You need to get into a doctor at that point. If it's a family related emergency or something like that, I also understand you don't ever have to disclose any information. What I've done is just had a parent email me. If there's some I've seen all sorts of emergencies come up, and yeah, that's just a good way. Is just stay in contact with me. I understand life happens, but if you're just not showing up, more than 3 absences will result in 1 letter grade drop, and after your 5th, I'm just going to remove you from the class because it's unfair if you're not putting in, even if you're turning things in, if you're not there participating and being a part of it, then you don't need to be giving the bank free money. So look this over. If you're not really participating either in class, if you're just showing up, if you're on your phone, if you're gaming, if you're texting the entire time, I'm going to talk to you about it. If it happens, I just start lowering your overall grade. Some assignments may involve working in a group. If that is not your thing, now is a good time to bow out. If you look at the credits on a film, it's usually more than one person. So last semester, it was a first when I put people in groups. I had one student actually be like, yeah, I think I'm going to drop the class. And we were about 2/3 of the way done. So if you really can't work in a group, I understand there's some people like that. I don't think film is for you. You will always be working with somebody at some capacity. Late work, usually, so I kind of give a 24-hour window, but that doesn't include major assignments. So again, I get it. Some of you might have a family, jobs, all that stuff. I have an assigned due date, and I feel like I give a reasonable amount of time. So if you need to just turn something in late, go ahead. But just know, depending on what the assignment was, you'll automatically go down 1, maybe 2 letter grades as your starting point, but that's better than a 0. If I'm consistently seeing a student take advantage of this generosity, then there's going to be a discussion that, hey, you are now going to need to start at a B. But if you're constantly turning things in late, you're not going to have a great grade. But this does not include major films, tests, anything like that. We're talking like the basic homework stuff. Again, if you need some extension for any school-related thing, just get an email. Always, if you do need an extension, it's much better and much easier to ask beforehand rather than you miss the due date and then I get an email like, hey, life just got hectic. I understand, but if you were to email me like 2 days before, can I get a 24-hour extension or 48, whatever you need. I'm pretty flexible, but I do have to balance out the gradebook universe, as it were. So, students are consistently turning things in on time and good quality. That's why I got to start usually starting you at a B if you need an extension. Do not use AI for anything in this class, and that includes proofreading through Grammarly. Just don't do it because what can happen is it can trigger that AI was used, even if it was just to insert commas or anything like that. Another thing I've seen students doing recently, which is going through AI, but then typing it in your own words or changing a little bit. Again, I've been doing this. So this is my 7th college university that I have been at, and I start to see where a student is at academically, and if all of a sudden you're turning in work that could be published, it's not usually a good sign. And I will remove you from class because it's cheating, and it's not a good thing, and it is about the worst thing you can do on a campus in your academic career is to cheat like this. So please don't do it. Don't put me in that awkward position. either, because that's the worst part of the job, and it takes up a lot of my time to have to make reports and things like that. So just don't do it. Do your best, do your work. I'm a fair grader, but I also understand, it's college. You might get behind. Just don't go down that road of temptation. This is good to look over about if you turn in something and it's just garbage, but I know you can do better. I'm going to give you a substandard and send it back, so you could get a little bit better grade. I don't often do that, and I'd rather you turn in something a day late that's quality versus getting it in on time and not being your best work because you're just trying to get it in on time. Some things on this is kind of a universal for assignments. Keep your font, margins, and format all consistent, because then it looks like copy and paste. Double space all your written material. Keep it clean and organized. Again, look at this like a job and not a class. And that kind of changes your perspective on it. Make sure you're always paying attention to directions and details. Handwriting your work and then taking a picture of it. I'll see that sometimes. Yeah, that doesn't float. Try not to go down the world of excuses. Keep your emails professional. Between 8 and 5. I try and check it twice a day. So, if it's a weekend or something like that, it might not be till Monday till I get it. But generally, give me somewhere between 24 hours to reply. If you're having like technical issues, get to IT. This is an instance where you can take a picture of the error code that you're getting and send that to me, and that would be a documentation in a way like, hey, I'm not able to turn something in, something's going on with Blackboard. Now, if that happens more than once, I'm going to send you to IT to get some kind of idea of what's going on with your account. Make sure your videos and content, I just say appropriate and professional. Now is not the time for you to make some big controversial film. Like, I don't necessarily censor, but just, PG-13 is a good, kind of a good self-rating. Be careful about doing anything with violence, especially on campus. It's the world we live in. Definitely don't bring any prop guns to campus. Cops will shoot first, ask questions later. And be careful about, sexual content, anything disparaging the school, anything like that. You don't want to do that. Again, now is not the time to make that type of film. But if you can all go ahead and, look that over as well. One thing I kind of didn't touch upon. Let me go back really quick. The school got a new way of doing the syllabus for class, and normally the textbook, equipment, things like that are at the top. So equipment and things like that. So one thing you should know is there's no like textbook for class, but I will ask you to rent and or find online some films, maybe 4 to 5. So you can estimate between $20 to $25 if you need to rent, or sometimes you can get an app trial for free, and stuff like that. The other thing is you need a camera. It can be a smartphone as well, but you need to look up and see if that whatever device you have shoots at 20 FPS. That stands for frames per second, and that is the cinematic look. We will talk about it more, but film looks like film, TV looks like TV, YouTube looks like YouTube, and it has a lot to do with frames per second, which is, I guess as an example, camera taking 24 pictures per second. And when you do that and it looks like you get movement, that's really all it is. The more frames there are, the sharper it will look. So you need some kind of camera. if you're using a smartphone, I want you to download what's called Blackmagic Cam, and I posted some links. And all that does is allow your phone to kind of open up and give you more ability to control how the video will look. The two softwares that I predominantly want you to pick. Now, if you've been using something for a long time, like Final Cut or something that's more industry standard than like, editing on some, I don't know, real cheap, something like these, I want you to kind of be more in the realm of industry standards. So Premiere Pro is a really great one to learn, but there's a monthly fee. Another one is DaVinci Resolve, and it is completely free, and it actually pairs well because Blackmagic owns them. So they make some of their stuff for free in the hopes that you will buy their cameras and their equipment and some of the other stuff that they do. So the nice thing with DaVinci is when you create an account, you can have it set up so that it looks just like Premiere Pro. So when I'm doing my tutorials, you're going to be seeing, the layout, the interface for Premiere Pro. So you can get DaVinci and set it up so it looks the same, so you kind of know what you're filming. I would also recommend that you get a good solid state hard drive if you can, an external hard drive. And you can get one depending on what kind of, you don't have to get it exFAT formatted, but if you go from PC to Mac, which some people do, then you'll need exFAT. But just something like this that you can store all your footage on and back it up. And it's always good to have two. That way, if something happens to this, you have it backed up. And you do need, I don't want to say a beefy computer for editing, but if you get a solid state drive, it might be easier. Like if you don't have the greatest, most powerful, laptop or computer, you can edit off of the drive then. Okay, so let me show you these resources. This is a link to some festivals if you are interested ever in like submitting any of the work that you create for this class to a festival. Here are links to the software. There is the DaVinci, and then Premiere Pro. There's a couple more that I've had students use that maybe weren't the greatest, but some were free. But I'd recommend, if like you're really serious about filmmaking, one of these, the DaVinci, and there's some tutorials, but don't worry, we're going to go over everything. This is that Blackmagic app that I was talking about. Here's the basic camera and audio settings cheat sheet that I created. Again, we're going to go over this stuff. It's just kind of future resources for you. Here's another app called Filmic Pro. I think this one has a price associated with it, but you can kind of see that it allows you, it's like more that you can decide on the settings than you would normally get just with your phone as is. Again, I have some students who are using cameras like DSLRs, so you don't need anything like this because your camera should already do it. But if you're using a phone, it's a great way. You can even do things like monitor your audio. So that is another one. I like it a little bit more than the Blackmagic one, but it costs money. Down here, this is just some resources that the school provides if you need them. All right, so Module 1, what you're going to be doing first is just a simple, did you read the syllabus? Do you understand everything that I'm kind of putting out there for you to agree with or not agree with if you want to go forward with the class? So if you want to stay in the class, the correct answer is yes. This is pass fail. I won't grade anything until this is in. That way we're not at the end of the semester and there's something that you're like, oh, I had no idea that I wasn't allowed to use AI. Well, you agreed to the syllabus, so make sure you read it and understand what's in there. Okay. Introduction. I want you to film something, and we'll show them in class next week. Just who are you? Throw in any details that you like. What your favorite film is and why. What are your goals for this class? So I won't accept I don't have a favorite film. I like too many. You got to pick one. I want to be able to clearly see your face and hear what you say, and must be shot in 24 frames per second. So this video will help you get there if you're not sure. And then here's a link to one of those apps. I think it's for the DaVinci one. You can get creative. I've had some make theirs. Don't feel like it has to be any more than just a video of you. And just a way to help to get to, know your fellow classmates. But I've had some make some pretty exciting, fun little flicks. So you can be as limited or extravagant as you want, as creative or as plain Jane as you want. If you're shooting in 4K, like my iPhone does shoot in 24 frames per second, but when it does, it goes to 4K. If that's the case, try and make it a link. Otherwise, it'll be like really huge file that just takes forever to download. And anybody can send a YouTube link. That's always a great way to submit something for me. Yeah, there's no real required length to this either. I guess just enough for us to get to know who you are and why you're into filmmaking. So however long it takes you to say that. Maybe don't go over like 10 minutes or something. I think 2 is about the longest I've ever seen. After that, you're just bragging. Okay, and the last thing that you're going to do is download this document. Again, this is a pass-fail. I'll go back and show you the due dates on the others too. I might have forgot to mention those. Okay, so one thing that I've kind of noticed as both a filmmaker and professor is that, like, seeing students start to understand that film is more than just entertainment, and more than just filming something that's cool or clever. You have a real effect on an audience. You can change people's lives. You can inspire a movement. You can change law. You can do all sorts of stuff. It's a very powerful medium. And a lot of times we get in it just because it's like, maybe we want to be a star, or we have these great ideas, or we like making people laugh, whatever the case may be. I want you to consider these questions that I have down here. And we're going to get a little philosophical, I guess. So don't write anything you don't want me to know or you don't want to share with classmates, because at the next class, we're going to do a roundtable and discuss your answers. If you're uncertain of your answer, think on it. I mean, this isn't due like tomorrow. You have some time, but if it's getting to the point where you're like, wow, I really don't have a great answer, just write something like, I'm pondering this answer. Because this is more for you and your insights than anyone else, to get to know you as an artist and what that entails. So start by watching this link right here, Plato's Allegory of the Cave. And it kind of starts to set you up to understand what I'm saying. And it shows examples from different films, how they incorporated Plato's Allegory of the Cave. So the questions, what truths do you live by? This is called your orthodoxy or creed. And I'm not necessarily like, what faith do you belong to? I mean, that certainly could be part of it. But like, for example, I believe in living my life by kindness, empathy, and love, because I see them as greater qualities than hatred or harm. What is the power of art in your life? Give an example there. And you can kind of start to see where I'm going with this on different things. So just write to the best of your ability. Again, there's no required length. It's more for us to then discuss and for you to self-reflect. There are some films that I did recommend that kind of go into things that are like looking at film more as um, an artistic essay, I guess, in some ways is what you could say. You're trying to prove a point through film. So these are just some recommendations: The Tree of Life, The Color Purple, Truman Show, Life is Beautiful, Clockwork Orange. This is very much not made for kids. And I do recommend this film in certain ways. It's a Kubrick film. There's a lot to it, but please do not watch this if you have. I would look up, or I could tell you. I actually watched it last night, and it delves into some violence, sexual violence, and things like that in a stylized way. But Kubrick himself pulled it out of theaters. So I'm not trying to put stuff out there that I'm like will ever disrupt who you are as a person, but there always is content out there that we can study academically and learn from. So Casablanca is another one. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and Glory. I'm always happy to find more films or selections or things like that. Like if you say, "Oh, Tree of Life was really good," can you recommend any more films that are similar? Again, this is a pass fail, and it's due on the 21st. And your introduction will be due on the 21st. The syllabus is the 16th. So 21st, and I have them before class, just as long as they're in before class starts. I kind of have skewed times there. So yeah, that will be our first week of just kind of getting the ball rolling, and then week 2 we'll kind of delve a little bit more into how film works, and how to kind of start to analyze and break a film down. So email me. I will be a little out of pocket next week, but please, if something does come up, email me, and I look forward to meeting you all in the following week, and we'll have a fun journey together this semester. All right, everybody, you take care, and have a great first week of classes.